Okay, so let's continue with our discussion. So the final topic we're going to talk about is animation, right? So once that is done, we are mostly good with our background for the assignment too. So let's do some simple animation here. So if we can do the simple animation, we can eventually also control that using some sort of user interface like a slider or a keyboard, something different. So let's do some sort of animation that will move the objects around, that will rotate the object, right? So because we already have a rotation function and we are doing some sort of rotation here already. Here, right? So if we change the value with some sort of frame transition, it will look like an animated cube rotating around the axis, along the axis. Okay. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a function. Let me first remove this function, move this function before the main function, because main function always should be the last one that is in work. And there will be no problem with that. Let me quickly show you. And I want to create another function called animate. Okay. So function animate. And inside that function, we are going to do all the animations. Not all the animations, so we're going to do a very simple animation, but still we're going to do that here. So the first order of business would be removing this part from here and putting them inside the animate. I know we are not animating yet, but eventually we're going to do the animation. So I'm going to call the animate function here and quickly see if that works or not. Looks like there is no problem with that, right? Now our task is to move our object somehow. So I want to do a rotation for all of the shapes. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a quick rotation here. So this is our shape, and then so let's use the same rotate function, rotate Y function, and then we are going to rotate it with time, right? So let's have a global variable that we can call rotate, or I think we have some sort of name here, global rotation or something. Let's see. Global variable. Okay. Let's use this global rotation, or it doesn't matter, right? It matters for you, but for my example, it doesn't matter. So global rotation equal to 0. And then I'm going to use this global rotation here. Okay. So nothing will change because it's not this one. Because now it resets the whole rotation. Now you again see the front face because the global rotation is now 0. I want to change the rotation with time. So I want to make the 0 eventually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that is pretty easy here, right? So if I call the animate function multiple times, what I can do, I can increase the value of the global rotation. So I can make this like this, and the value will change with time, right? Just to make sure that it is working, we don't need this anymore, right? The draw function is obviously working. Let me remove that from here. And instead of saying this, I'm going to print the global rotation and see if the value is really changing or not. So it's not changing, right? We have 1 degree of rotation, that's it. So to change the or to create a loop for the function, we can use this line of code, which is called request animation frame. And inside that, we are going to use the animate function as a loopback function. That function is going to continue forever, right? And if I run it now, you see at least the angle is changing, but we don't see anything. Don't worry about that. We're going to fix that. Let me remove that first because this is distracting, right? Okay. So why is that? Because we have a lot of stuff on the screen now, and we don't see any of the stuffs because we are not clearing our buffer every time we want to draw a new object. So every time we draw a new object, we should clear the buffer to draw the next object. So I'm going to put this piece of code here, just in our animate function, and see if it works at all. It will not, because there is one more issue. Now at least it is clearing, but the animation is not working. The reason is for that, when you're using a draw function, we're using this buffer again and again. So the buffer is going to be, we need to reset the buffer every time we want to draw an object. Otherwise, it will sort of, the memory will not work properly. So I'm going to reset the buffer here and see how do I do that. I'm going to actually reset the model matrix and going to use set identity to reset the matrix. Set identity, and then try again. Okay, so now this works perfectly, right? So we have this 3D object that is rotating, animating, and you can see the angle of animation. So it doesn't matter if the angle is becoming very high, because the angle can never be more than 360, right? So it resets after every 360 rotation. So 360, 720, and like this. So I'm just going to remove this and maybe not remove this, just comment this out for future reference. And this is now cleaner because that distracting line of code is not running anymore. So this was our simple animation. We can always have separate animations. Maybe one of the object can be still, other can be animated, right? Can we do that? We can easily do that by making some small changes. For example, maybe have different rotations, right? And maybe have a translation. Let's try that. Let's comment this out. And let's do the rotation for only one object. And let's use one of the shapes, maybe first one only, shapes 0, and then try to draw this one. So we have a rotation for this one, right? And then let's have the next shape with a separate rotation. So this is shape 1. So this is rotating this direction, in this direction, and this is rotating in this direction. Let's have a better translation here. So this was, let me make this 60, this 40. Yeah, so now they're more separated, right? We can also have a translation here. How is that? Let's use this global rotation for translating something. Where was our triangle? So our triangle was already translated here. Let me move that to a negative position, right? 75. First thing I can do is to draw that. That is our shape 3. And let's not do any rotation at all. Just draw it. Okay, something is wrong. Shape 0, 1. Oh, there is no shape 3. Shape 2. Yeah. So now we have this triangle here, huge triangle. So let me actually move this, or maybe scale it down. We can have different scaling for the triangle, right? Let me make it longer and shorter on the side. So on the z-axis, it doesn't matter. We can have any scaling. Let me make it 0.5 here and 2.5 here. Actually, the opposite. For x, it should be 2.5. And let's move it on the side. So x-axis, let's make it 0.5. We can move it more. So now I can sort of make it fly like a rocket. Let's see if that I can do that. So in the animation loop, I'm going to do a quick animation that is now going to be a translate, right? So I want to translate it. plus, let me do a plus global rotation. It will eventually go out of the screen. That is fine. Actually, it's already out of the screen. Okay, let's try to do it like this. So no translation here, and then translation here. Then that's it, right? Well, let's see if it is being drawn at all or not. Oh, so yeah, this value is very high. So we can only translate by very small value. I know what is happening. It is going too high, so it is flying out of the screen. Okay, let's do this first. Let me divide it by 100. So this is better, right? Now let's go back to our still works. It's better if it is on the side. So we can remove this and then do that translate there. So on the side, and then minus 0.75 plus our global rotation. So we have this flying triangle that is flying out of the screen. We can also change the shape of the cubes. How is that? Let's try to make a. Okay, let's comment this out. And bring this for loop back. Okay. And so a triangle needs the original rotation, original translation. So 0 is fine. Then we need to make maybe 75. What was the last value? I don't remember. Oh. Y is oh, I am translating the cube instead of the triangle. Yeah, now it's sort of what I wanted. Okay, now I need to make this object look more like a hammer. How can I do that? I can reshape the things. For example, I can make the cube 2 a bit longer by scaling it here. So longer, right? Still too long, maybe. On the other side, I can make it shorter. I mean, it should look like a stick. So it can be 4, maybe. Okay, this is fine. Let's keep it as 5. And then Let's change the translation. So the translation was here. Let's make this 5. Now this looks more like a hammer. Now let's change the top. So I want to squeeze it by the y-axis. So let's make it 25. Still doesn't look like a hammer, so I have to also change one side. I can, so it is squeezed by, so I want to have it long along the x-axis. So I am also squeezing it by z-axis. So now it looks closer to a hammer. I just need to bring the stick closer to the hammer. So instead of this, I'm making this 3 maybe. Yeah. Now it looks obviously better. So none of this initial rotation works, right? We can make it work just by having the value of, so our rotation value is saved somewhere. So this is our initial rotation. Okay, we can do something like maybe we can have something here, right? And then, or we can separately draw the shapes here like this, then have separate rotation for each of the shapes. For example, like we can have a global rotation here that is not exactly following this global rotation. For example, actually, let me show you. Just, I'm going to use a separate version of this, or this is fine also. So shape 0. I'm going to bring back the other shapes. Then I want to have the stick rotated separately, right? So addition of 45 degree, then the global rotation. So here we go. So this is a simple animation that we can practice just to see what is happening. And I guess we are done with practicing all the concepts listed here. I'm going to upload the code in the same section, in the file section of Canvas, and I'm also going to upload the video. So I'm going to stop here, and I will stay here for answering any questions.